Proud to be the premier refiner for dental professionals. Garfield helps dental offices get the most for their gold, silver, platinum, and palladium dental scrap. With over 130 years in business, Garfield sets the industry benchmark for high payments and superior customer service. That's why they've been voted North America's best dental refiner by Dentaltown magazine for 13 years straight. Get the highest returns on your dental scrap without ever having to leave the office. Right now, Dental Assistant Nerds podcast listeners can get a $25 bonus when they refine with Garfield by using the code DANP-24. Visit www.garfieldrefining.com/DA Nerds podcast to learn more. Download your shipping label and get started today. Looking for affordable and reliable products to help grow your practice? Contact Yeah Dental sales team today to help get you started. You can find them on the web at yeahdental.com. That's YEAHDENTAL.com. You can also call them at 866-376-9324. Check out yeahdental.com today to help with all your product needs in your office.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Dental Assistant Nerds podcast. I'm your co-host, John.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for listening. It's Amanda.
All right. So today, another episode in store. So one thing we've noticed is people come to forums and they typically ask, like, hey, what does everybody think about X? Like, should I work here? What does everybody know about this? And so that's what we're going to get into today, that when you're giving advice on where to work, one thing to keep in mind is maybe something that wasn't as great for you might be great for someone else. I know I've worked in plenty of places where people just love it. They buy into the culture. And, me personally, I'm like, I don't really know if this culture is for me. So we recently posted an advertisement for a national company, and for whatever reason, someone did not like this company, and they just felt the need to keep repeatedly commenting every time somebody wanted more information. And whenever I finally asked that person, like, hey, how long did you work for this company? Like, why such negative vibes? And they never even responded to the message. So that's what we're going to get into right now. If you're kind of just starting out your career, or maybe you're maybe on a downslide, what is it that you're looking for in an office? And whenever you're giving advice, like what are some key points that you try and tell people about prospective jobs? So let's dive into that, Amanda.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that you have to go in it with an open mind of, yet again, what your experience is not the same as someone else's experience. And I always try to remind myself and dental colleagues as well, is that the majority of us are more apt to give a negative review before we are a positive review. That can be from something that you just purchased, your microwave or dishwasher, or I think of that because I bought a dishwasher 2 years ago and it's already on the fritz.
Oh, yikes.
Not very fond, not very happy about that. Nonetheless, of course, the warranty's up. Nonetheless, uh,
How convenient.
yeah, so how convenient. It gets a good whack with the fist when it starts doing that with the lights and craziness. I'm very happy. It's been nonetheless off topic, Amanda. But yeah, think about that though. Think about things that you review. And also that when you're going into an interview or you're looking into a dental practice, that also dig for your review. Why do they have a turnover, or what do they offer? Or if you know that person personally, well, why were you not happy? Let's be honest, sometimes it's just the personalities don't get along. It has nothing to do with the company, it has to do with their personalities. I've worked for a company that I wasn't a very fan of the company, but I had a great relationship with the staff that I worked with. So I ended up staying. So, you have to, in dentistry, I've always say the number one thing when people ask what has kept me in dentistry or what have I've always found the most beneficial is that there's always been an office. There's always been something that I needed my fit for that phase of life that I was in. So I think when you're getting into the dental field, or any future career, is what are your must-haves, right? Let's spin it into what maybe a bigger company can offer me when it comes to my career. Maybe the small guy that's a one doctor practice isn't able to financially offer me this. Let's just say medical benefits, 401k,
We'll see that.
paid time off.
That
Huh?
that that's I mean that's a good one because honestly, I just saw a small practice thread and it's kind of like, hey, I need some advice. Obviously, we're not getting applicants. I need to offer, medical benefits. I don't know if you saw this. I meant to bring this up on a separate line, but one doctor immediately was like, don't do it. Once you start offering things, you know, it kind of opens up, you can't go back. And I'm like, some people, they're just dug in, they're just kind of like, you know, whatever area of the world they live in, they're kind of like, we don't have to offer anything because everybody's married and their husband has medical benefits. And, that's great for them. But eventually they're gonna hit this bump in the road, right? So, you know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm sorry. So you continue about the 401k, and I
Well,
was just thinking about that, how like everybody's always like, why doesn't offices offer this or that? And it's like when I read that, I'm like, this is unbelievable, you know?
I'll spin this into this as well. We were at a dental conference recently, and I had a doctor come up to me that we have a great professional relationship with. And John, I didn't even share this with you, but she's like, I have so many friends that are coming. She's fully staffed. She's always fully staffed. And if she's hiring someone, it's because they continue to grow. And let's be honest, John and I, for as much as we talk about the shortage or how to help practices, or there are dental practices out there that they're always fully staffed. And when they're hiring someone is because they keep growing. And she kept it very short and sweet. She's like, I have colleagues come to me and she's like, you're always fully staffed. What are you doing? She's like, I pay them well and I offer them benefits. That's it. So if you're listening to this and you can't keep staff and you can't get any applicants for your staff, what are you paying? And do you offer any reason for someone to work for you? So I think that's one of the things that we need to keep in mind when we think of these larger companies, whether it's a DSO, there's mobile dental units, there's uh, different corporate dentistries and variations of that. There's prison systems, there's the VA, there's different hospital settings. So there's a lot of options outside of. Also met a doctor last week that she was the doctor, naturally. She had an assistant. Her assistant is retiring after 30 years. Her dad owned the practice prior to her. She went to dental school. Now she's the dentist and she has a front desk staff. That's it. 3 people, her, front desk, and assistant. She also does her own hygiene. She's like, I know it's not traditional. She's like, but now we've had this assistant that's been hired when my dad worked here. Now she's retiring. Now what am I going to do? So she's at a loss. She's like, I can't get any applicants. And that was one of the things I asked her. What does she pay and what is her benefits? And I don't understand this world that people are still in, that, oh, someone's married and the husband has the benefits. And now, so we do not need to offer this predominant female career as a dental assistant any benefits because they're supposed to get them through their significant other, whoever that may be. That's Come on, let's get up with the times here.
Was that her
Uh,
answer?
huh?
Was that her
No,
answer? Oh, okay.
no, that wasn't her answer. But she said, she's like, more than likely, I'm not going to financially be able to afford medical benefits. So, medical benefits to offer as a company, there is a lot of out of pocket expense for that company to pay. What I did talk to her about, that if you cannot offer medical benefits, I don't know, we'll throw out a number, $20 an hour. If you're, because she asked, what is our hourly average rate as a dental assistant being offered in our area? So I gave her a range, but I'm going to go with $20 for an hour for this example. So if you offer 20 an hour, but if you don't offer medical benefits and the personality of this dental assistant is phenomenal and you'd love to hire them, and now they have to pay their medical benefit out of their pocket fully of whatever that is, then you're going to have to increase the wage. You're
Yeah, I
going to
mean,
have to offer now like 25 or closer to 30 because now how they have a huge out of pocket expense that they have to pay in order for her and her husband or her significant other to have the medical benefit that they need. Now, do they actually use that money to pay for their medical benefit? You have no idea.
right. I mean,
So
we hear talk of the stipend, like where it's kind of like, hey, someone's better off just going and getting their own insurance, and then I'll give them a stipend. And, honestly, that stipend I've heard of anywhere from, 50 to, $400 or $500 a month for the stipend. So,
yes, I
that's
think like employers, and I mean, we're self-employed, so thankfully I do have medical benefits with my husband. But, I think sometimes employers also, like this doctor that has a very small staff of 2 people, you kind of have to do your own research as well to see what is out there. What are people paying out of pocket for a medical insurance to be able to get the medical benefit that they need? Is it 750 a month? Is it $1,500 a month? I mean, I know in our social media groups, we see some very large ranges of how much people are paying. I've seen a number of $2,500 a month for a family of 4 that someone as self-employed is paying for a medical benefit. I mean, to do the math, I don't know why you would pay $2,500 a month when you're probably not spending $2,500 a month on some sort of, how much would it be for you to go to the doctors? But if you have people with medical conditions that you need it, different medicines, different medical procedures, obviously the freak accident of being in a terrible car accident. Now you need a life flight to a hospital. So all of these like what if scenarios. But, some people are not going into that interview and being prepared of what do I need? What is your top 3 non-negotiables for you? I think that's a great way to start. We currently, John and I at our dental program, a dental assistant program, we have a few students that are going on interviews and hopping to this interview, that interview. Well, and I think it's one of those conversations. Have just a quick these are my top 3 questions before you even go on an interview.
yeah,
Do
get it
you
out of the
need
way over the phone.
Yeah, get it over the phone. Do not waste your time. Do not waste the office's time. And honestly, that's what I say. I have a few questions I'd like to ask before I come in for an interview. Do you offer medical benefits? No. If that is one of your top 3 and they don't offer it, then do not go on the interview. Why, why are you going? I mean, you might need some interview practice, and if that's the case, then go. But you don't need to go on 10.
Right.
Don't need to go on 10 practice interviews. So what are your top 3? I'm not working nights and weekends personally. I'm not staying personally. I don't even want to be there at 5.
Yeah, I had an office contact me once. They just found me on LinkedIn, contacted me. I wasn't looking, and they said, "Hey, we'd love to have you come in for an interview. We need help 3 days a week." And I was like, "Okay, like I'll bite, I'll talk a little bit, And right away, I was like, "Well, what are these hours?" And it was 3 days a week, but it was like 3 12s. It was like 8 to 8, and I was like, "I'm not interested." Like we didn't. That's all the further. I said, "Listen, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not interested." I said, "That's all the further." That's all the further it went. It didn't get into any benefits package. It didn't get into
Yeah.
what the pay was. It was just like, hey, what are the hours? Yeah, we need help 8 to 8. Nope, thank you. Thanks for your consideration. And they were just like, oh, okay. And I was like, no, same thing.
Well,
Like, yeah, I'm not.
I can't remember the office offhand, not that I would share it right now, but there was an office that was calling us numerous times about if we had any students interested. And I don't remember it exactly, but I'm like, oh, you work Monday through Thursday. Okay, that's great. It's a 3-day weekend. Well, what are your hours? Oh, 7 to 5. That's terrible. That's a terrible option, as going back to, I'm a mom, I have young kids, they need put on the bus. There's not some miracle system that, not every daycare will get put kids on the bus if they're not on a bus route. Not everybody has a friend or family member that you trust that you can count on to be in at your home at 6 o'clock in the morning to get an elementary age kid on the bus. So, as we know, dentistry has changed significantly over the years, but I think that's a great way, just a great way to start. What are your top three that you're looking for? Do you need flexibility? Then probably a hospital setting position as a dental assistant is not for you, because it's not an office that is going to have flexibility. You can't show up at 7:10 if your start time was 7 o'clock, because that 10-minute time frame that you were late, there's a good possibility that they're going to ask you to use 10 minutes of your PTO time to cover that 10 minutes. So John and I definitely have worked in offices in corporation settings that are that way, that if you need to leave at 3:45 and your time is at 4:30 as your leave time, then you're going to have to leave 45 minutes of your PTO time. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. We had a student a couple years ago that she is local to me, and she applied at a local dental practice, and I immediately shared with her, like, oh my goodness, I don't know what the problem is at that office, but they have high turnover. I've never worked there, I've never temped there, but just, the reputation is out there. She took the chance. I'm glad she did. She loves it. She's been there since. And she's like, I don't know what the problem is. She's like, I love it here. And they haven't had a high turnover since. So I don't know, maybe if it was one personality that didn't fit and that person was, had moved on, and now things have panned out. So uh, you might as well take the chance, right? One person's opinion or even 12 people's opinion about their experiences, look at the bigger picture of how many people that have been at maybe that organization for years and has worked out just fine.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
when you're asking around and getting people's opinions or even like reading reviews, it's kind of it's kind of like you want to keep that in mind that it's not for everybody. You know, people love DSO. Some people love working at a DSO. Um, me personally, I think as long as and everybody, some people come to the defense of, well, every DSO is different and some are owned, some are franchised. And, honestly, in my experience, it was, hey, it's a business transaction, you know, it's not like the owner is going to give me a call and wish me happy birthday. It is like, hey, this is your number and it's a business transaction and you're there to work, see patients and get paid. And they have you there as an employee and they might be trading benefits and PTO and such. But at the end of the day, there's just not that connection. Like you work with some people, typically it's like a high turnover, but there was definitely a lot more flexibility as far as, hey, if I need a day off, there's a lot more people working here to cover versus when I worked private practice, I was the only assistant and days off were just unheard of. I look back and I think of that now and I'm like, man, what was I thinking? Just like the amount of time I put in at the private practice, like never took off. Um, Honestly, the only time I took off was for like military trips. That was it. Like you know, I had to schedule vacations around that. That's a non-negotiable. Like the moment someone tells me I got to schedule my vacation, when they go on vacation, I don't want to hear any more of the conversation. I'm like,
me neither.
nobody's telling me when I'm taking a vacation. And
Or
if
some offices, that blackout date, whoever
yeah,
came
yeah,
up with
yeah.
that, like,
Great call. Yeah, yeah. I interviewed once, and they told me I couldn't take off in the summer or Christmas time, and I was like, well, this was kind of pointless. Like, I wish I would have known this, because I drove an hour for that interview, so I think about that too. Like, that was a very insightful interview, as far as material to use for stuff like this. But yeah, that's definitely one that could have been ended over the phone because, the doctor saw my resume. It was pretty extensive. He was a brand new opening a brand new practice. And it was kind of like, a couple weeks later, I finally got a hold of him and I said, hey, did you make a decision? Yeah, I don't want to pay any more than, 18 and you were asking for 23. I'm like, why wouldn't you just say that at the interview? Like, instead of me waiting and texting you and being like, hey, did you make a decision? And he's like, yeah, I just want to pay like 18. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Good luck. Good luck. That was, oh man, I can't, I mean, that was definitely pre-pandemic, that was like 2015. So,
Yeah.
um,
The thing though is just keep, and what fits for you now might not be fit for you later. So we talk about change, that, as we know, there's those scenarios and those kind of memes now on social media that we see. If someone stays with a company for 20 years, they make X, and someone else, switches, 10 different offices over, I don't know, a 30-year career, then they make substantially more. It's just doesn't seem right. But unfortunately, I'm not the one that, we're not the ones that are out here, in charge of the game. I hate to say it's not a game unprofessionally, but what fits me now wasn't what didn't fit me as a dental assistant and as my, life outside of being a dental assistant, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. So, life events happen, you have kids or you have to take care of, a parent or, physically, you know, John and I aren't young pups anymore. We're not in our 20s, we're not in our 30s even. So, uh, my hands go numb constantly now. I was mixing cookie dough over the weekend and I was like shaking my hand out on the side and because of, my hand going numb. So your physical ability, I am definitely not working, 12-hour days at a dental practice any longer. So definitely take that opinion of a stride of negativity from someone that you see on social media as maybe a red flag for a hint of your thought. But you might as well take the chance if you want to get into a dental practice, and you need certain things that are maybe in your top three of your checkoff list. Then if they meet that three, then you might as well take the risk, because what was not fit for Sally could be a great fit for you. So, just dive in, keep an open mind, try to change the conversation, and try to change the conversation if things um, are not super positive or things need to be changed in the right direction, then just be a part of that change. It's okay that if you're not in a leadership role, you can still be a leader, right? You don't have to have, I mean, I don't recommend you coming in and storming through and being, the Tyrannosaurus Rex of change right away. But, you can implement small changes that can go in the right direction and completely change the trajectory of the office.
yeah, I mean, I think those are all great, great points, and we don't have to beat a dead horse with that. Like, basically, you need to decide what's best for you. Don't get caught up in, it doesn't hurt to ask an opinion, but like I said, I know people that bash DSOs, and some people love it. So um, I think every office has a kind of a reason or a purpose, and whether that's your reason or purpose and what it aligns with and what you need for that time frame, then I would just make the best of it. And if it's something that, hey, maybe you don't love this office, but the hours are great because you have to drop your kid off, and they're flexible with you picking your kid up. I mean, every office is different, and I think that's one of the things that make dentistry so unique, is that whenever we share those experiences as dental assistants and we talk about like what was great and what wasn't, and you hear something new every day where you're kind of like, oh wow, like you know, my dentist used to let me take my kid to, in the back office whenever, they were sick. And it's like, oh, wow, that's interesting. It's like, could you see that happen in a Med Express or at the local grocery store? Like, probably not,
Yeah.
going back to what works best for you might not work best for someone else. So keep that in mind. I understand, like, some people are like, I hate this company, they did me dirty. But, you know, I'm one of these people, like, okay, say your piece once. Like, you don't need to like chime in on everybody's comment to get your point across. And I get it. Believe me, as far as wanting to be that voice, because I once had a bad experience at the Brazilian steakhouse, and I absolutely go on and bash them every chance I get. So there's some things I completely understand and I can't let go. But to go on, when someone's trying to pick a career and you're just like constantly like in their face about it, it's like you don't know what that person's looking for, and what you're looking for, even right now, like as close as Amanda and I are, if we closed the school tomorrow and went and got jobs, like we would probably be going in two different trajectories because we're looking for different things, So, something to keep in mind whenever you're sharing your opinions on where people should work. So,
Yeah. So good luck with your search. If you are looking for a change, if you're ready for a change, if a life event has happened, that I'm sure there's something out there for you. Make your top 3 list, maybe your top 5 and hit, what you can. I'm sure there is something out there for you. But in the midst of dentistry, continue to stand tall, stand out, be different, be that dental assistant that everyone wants. Continue to keep your mind open, continue to educate yourself, and please let us know how we can help or how, maybe email us some sort of topic that we can discuss at a future podcast.
yeah, absolutely. And, once again, thank you so much for the support. Of course, you can subscribe, follow on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Just search Cornerstone Dental Assistant Academy or Dental Assistant Nerds Podcast, and we will catch you at the next podcast. So, thank you again for tuning in to this episode.